Fly ball onto the track, at the wall, it's gone! Home run!
Turns on a ball, deep right field, and gone!
What a game, what a moment. What is up, everybody? Welcome into this Tuesday bonus edition of Flippin Bats, where we'll talk a lot about Shohei Ohtani. I'm joined, as always, by Alex Curry. And Alex, really cool week for me because Searching for Shohei finally debuted in
Congratulations.
Japan.
What was the feedback you got?
Great. I had to hit the translate tweet button because I'm not quite yet fluent in Japanese, but
You really got to work on that.
I actually have my Duolingo is in
cool.
Japanese, so I'm starting to learn Japanese.
Good for
But
you.
it was really cool, and it's been such a long process. It debuted here in October in the playoffs, and it was so important for me for Searching for Shohei to debut in Japan. How long?
9 months later.
Yeah, to air in Japan because, hey, guess what? None of this would have happened without the people in Japan and
Japanese
the support
fans.
and Shohei and everything. It's all about the Japanese fans. So it really meant a lot for me for it to air over there, and it finally did, and it aired overnight. I think 4 a.m. Pacific is when it debuted over there a couple days ago.
Yeah.
And I woke up and the response was just like, it was so cool. It was so special. It's been a very cool week. It's now aired twice over there. So
Oh, that's awesome.
yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, it was just it was a process, but we finally got there, finally debuted there, and the response was incredible.
There's a lot going around the Shohei Ohtani world this week. Obviously, we're a week out from the All-Star game. Searching for Shohei aired in Japan, and he is the hottest topic in sports right now because there is a possibility that he might get traded before the deadline in 2 weeks.
You know what this means?
What?
It is time, Alex, for my favorite segment of all time. This week in Shohei Ohtani news, we're going to talk about those trade rumors you were just talking all about. We're going to talk about his All-Star week up there in Seattle, where he'll be playing in August, where might he be playing next year, and of course, his recent performance after the All-Star game. But let's start, Alex, with that All-Star game because you and I were up there and we got to experience. I was actually really excited for this because I think it was your first time experiencing the crazy, I don't even, media day technically, but all the players are lined up. And you actually posted a really cool photo of before the rush of Shohei Ohtani's area. And then you got to experience the rush of all of the media.
I'm normally
coming.
prepared for this, okay? Because I covered the Angels for 10 years. I was there right when he got to the Angels, but I was there. I was talking to like my old family. Like the Angels were my family for 10 years. So I was talking to their whole PR team, front row, and the gates were about to open. I was like, ooh, okay, I'll just stay here. I'll be front row for Ohtani. And Adam looks at me, goes, we're doing Japanese media first. I'm like, oh no. And I literally felt a sea of people hover over me. There were ladders next to me. I literally felt like I got like eaten by a media monster. And I had to like crawl out of the front area to like find air again. Like that was terrifying. That was terrifying.
The new thing, not a new thing. Here's how I handle that whole thing when it comes to being around. I will literally, my whole goal is just to go say hi to Ipe and Shohei and Adam and Grace, who you mentioned, the PR team with the Angels, and just say hi and get out.
Yeah.
I don't need to ask, it's like you get two questions. I got to be the only person in the U.S. to sit down with him for an hour and ask him everything I could have possibly imagined. I just want to say hi and get out because as you saw again, I mean, there were literal ladders. I looked over at one point and I was like,
I got knocked out. That's what took me down was a ladder.
Are people on somebody's shoulders?
Yes.
I was like, what is going on?
Ladders.
Over there?
They are efficient. They are fast. I mean, that happened in like 5 seconds. It was like, oh, this is nice. This is peaceful. I'm here. I'll stay front row. And then it was like, get out of here, Curry. Fully got eaten by the media monster. That was my media monster.
That's your media monster voice.
Yeah.
The whole week up there was awesome. around Shohei and his just being there, which is really cool because 3 years in a row now he's been an all-star as a pitcher and a hitter. I was there at the first one in Denver, Colorado, and to see the difference over the course of 3 years that he's made on the baseball world and being up there is remarkable. And the one thing that sticks out to me, or one of a few, obviously everything he does, red carpet, that, like, everybody surrounds him. But when it was game time and the players were making that really, really long run in from the outfield as their names were getting announced, Shohei gets announced as a division rival of the Mariners.
Yeah.
Shohei's announced, standing ovation by the crowd, screaming. Everybody was so pumped just to see Shohei Ohtani. I mean, literally just to get a glimpse of him and to be in the same stadium that he's playing baseball in. So to get a standing ovation from a division rival's crowd was really cool. And then the game starts, and that same crowd starts chanting, "Come to Seattle," when Shohei's up to the plate. So this all-star experience for Shohei, probably a little bit different with everything that's looming for him in the near future.
Yeah, it was really interesting because I think they talked about it when a couple of the players were mic'd up too during the broadcast. Like, oh, are you going to start your pitch to try to get Shohei Ohtani to come to your team? Because you could hear the chants for Ohtani on the broadcast while, like, a player was mic'd up, and I forget what player it was, but he's like, no, it's tampering. I can't do that. But talking to every single player while we were there during the presser, on the red carpet, we always asked, who are you most excited to see, play with, play against? Almost every single player said Shohei Ohtani. And, like, one of their favorite moments was they got to take a photo with Shohei Ohtani. They got to meet Shohei Ohtani. Like, not only are baseball fans huge fans of Shohei Ohtani, but so are all the players. There's just such a respect for who he is and what he's doing for the game. And he just has so much fun. And so much respect for the other players, too. Like, we saw him on the field meeting with Kodai Senga.
Yep.
And they walk up to each other. There's so much respect. You take off your hat. You bow. It was so fun to see.
Nobody knows this better than you, but baseball players love giving boring answers to questions. They do. And a typical question before a guy like Shohei Ohtani comes along of who are you most excited to see? The answer is like, my boy, I'm excited to see him. But for the majority of players, sometimes we didn't even bring it up. We would just say, like, what's the All-Star game experience like? There were a couple of players that literally said, like, I walked in the locker room and had to get a picture with Shohei Ohtani because I just can't believe that I'm sharing a locker room with that guy. Nobody in baseball talks like that. No. Like, it's such a rarity for baseball players to express, like, genuine feelings and emotions. Maybe that's my problem.
Huh. Maybe that's one of them? Maybe one of your problems?
Maybe that's my one problem. Is that I never learned to express my feelings because I played baseball and you just suppress them.
Yeah, that makes sense.
My one problem.
Yeah, you're one. No, one of many. We're adding it to the list.
No, it was really cool to hear the players talk to him about that. And it was also, like, on the red carpet. Yeah. There was he did one interview on the red carpet
with Japanese media
and walked right by. And Angels PR actually told us, like, hey, we have one.
We see you, but he's one and done.
He waved a quick wave, and they only were able to do one, and then they left. Can you imagine all of the trade questions that he was getting?
That was actually Adam. You can see in the video looking at me, telling me, like, he only has one when he's turning away. Yeah. I'm like, because we were right across from the car right there. You can see.
I can't imagine how annoying it would be to just have to constantly answer question after question about where he's going because, Alex, that is the conversation, and not just baseball, sports for the next few months is he going to get traded, and ultimately where is he going to end up? Because this is the biggest free agent in the history of sports, and once he becomes a free agent.
And we've been talking about this for the last couple of weeks, just after the Angels went on that really bad 1-9 stretch and Mike Trout went down, losing him for 1 to 2 months. We're like, you might really need to start considering it. I don't know if the Angels are going to do it. But on Friday, a report came out that Angels were willing to listen to offers. So now it's becoming a legitimate conversation, and we have 2 weeks left till the trade deadline, and we are officially on Shohei Ohtani watch.
It wasn't even for me the 1-9 stretch as much as it was the day Mike Trout went down.
Yeah,
we were in here, and I said it's you have to now. You have to, because the Angels just aren't capable of being the team that they need to be without Mike Trout. And could he be back by the playoffs? Yes, but can they get to the playoffs with him being out for 2 months? I don't think so. So that's when it all changed for me, and that's when I came on here and said, you now have to trade him. Mm-hmm. You have to. And you look at the standings right now. They're by no means out of it, but they just don't have the team capable of doing what they need to do, I don't think. So if you're the Angels, it almost forces your hand. So I said they had to. John Smoltz, who I have on every week, says they have to. And then the Angels finally have come out and said they're listening to trade offers, but it's basically going to have to be something
an offer you can't refuse.
An offer you can't refuse, which, by the way, dumb. You got to get something.
Yeah.
If you're an offer you can't refuse, okay, what's your other option? You're losing leverage as the Angels. Artie Moreno, you lost your leverage last year when you decided not to trade him and you decided not to sign him to a new contract. All your leverage is gone. So your options now are either take what you get from another team or lose him in free agency and get nothing but a compensation pick in the draft. Not great options, but it is what it is at this point. So, but yes, they did say they're going to listen. And they also, the suitors, from what I've heard, that they said they need to have multiple top 100 type prospects to even begin the conversation.
Yeah, as they should. That's
obviously.
Fair.
So yeah, that's the big news of the week is everybody in the world, even Angels fans, have been like, we got it.
It's fine. So when we were talking about this, because we've been talking about it on this show, I was talking about it on the Herd the last couple of weeks.
You and I close to a month on the Herd a couple weeks.
Couple weeks ago. Angel fans, obviously, because they're a big chunk of my fan base, were furious with me a couple weeks ago. And then on Friday, when the news broke, and I talked about it again on the Herd, they're starting to come around and understanding okay, we got to get something for him. You can't not get something for the best player in the game. That is bad business. He's not, I'm not saying he's not, but it's very low odds for him to re-sign with the Angels. You got to do something. You got to try to get something. So that next question is, where do you see him? Where do you see him ending up?
This season, I think this season.
In August, right? So
yeah.
Where will Shohei be playing in August?
The Angels.
You think that they're not going to do it?
I don't think they do it.
Gosh,
I don't.
Would be so. That's so.
My gut says they don't do it. If I'm an Angels fan,
it's bad business if you don't do it.
This is why Angels fans need to come around. It sounds like have come around.
Yep.
I like to think I'm just a little bit ahead of the curve on a lot of, like Corbin Carroll, ahead of the curve on that. Trade Shohei. You got to now. The second Trout went down and people were like, we don't want to trade him. He's the best player in baseball. Well, now it's like you have to. So if you're an Angels fan, here's the best way to explain it. You can either trade Shohei now and guarantee players that will be good for your team for a long time to come. Not all of them. You don't hit on all of them, but with the package you'll get for Shohei, you're getting good talent that can help your team for a decade to come. Or you can enjoy 3 months more of Shohei Ohtani, and that's it, and you're done, and you've gotten absolutely nothing for your team or yourself personally besides maybe another Shohei Ohtani pillow that you might get going to a game in September. You got to trade him.
You have to.
You got to trade him.
You have to.
So but I don't think they do. Your question, where will Shohei be in August? I think he's with the Angels. But I was talking to Smoltz last week, every Saturday, have him on, and asked him about this because we spoke the week prior as well. And his thought was also, you need to trade him. But when these rumors came out, I asked Smoltz, where do you think he goes and where do you want him to go? And he actually, his idea was interesting. It was the Yankees. And he said, imagine a team with Aaron Judge and Shohei Ohtani on it.
Ooh.
But then he started talking about why that, like what that would mean for the Yankees and what he thinks. Obviously, it would just be for a rental right now. You're not signing him long term. What he thinks the Yankees should give up. And that was the most interesting conversation to me. So let's play a clip of that.
I'm going to be on the aggressive side. I'm going to say it's worth to get him, even if you don't re-sign him, with a chance to win the World Series. Whoever gets, if he were to be traded to some of the top tier teams, let's just say New York, it puts them in this clear favorite, in my opinion, to get to the World Series in the American League. That's how big of a difference this guy makes. And let's say they don't re-sign him. I think it's worth it. The Yankees have a lot of pressure on them to get to the World Series and win one. We got a drought going. The Dodgers took care of theirs. And I'm just telling you, I know people are saying there's no way he's going to get traded, this or that. I would force the hand of the owner and make the deal so sweet he can't pass it up.
He would give up a lot to get Shohei for 2 or 3 months.
You should. If you are on the fringe of being a playoff or World Series team and you have the ability to get the best player in baseball to get yourself there, isn't it all about the whole purpose of the season is to win a World Series? And if you can do that mid-season by adding the best player in baseball to then win a World Series that year, wouldn't you do it?
Yeah, I posted that clip on Twitter over the weekend, and a lot of people would say, like, that doesn't make the Yankees the clear favorite. Come on. And if you think about it, adding just Shohei Ohtani, think of what it does for a team like the Yankees. All of a sudden, you go into the playoffs with a rotation of Garrett Cole and a hopefully healthy at that time, he's already back pitching. Garrett Cole, Carlos Rodon, Shohei Ohtani. Those three plus a lineup with Shohei and Aaron Judge hitting back-to-back, they would become the favorites, and they couldn't not be if they were to do that. So he says that they should do what it takes, even though he's a rental, which becomes the interesting conversation of how much do you give up, though you have him for just a couple months. John Smoltz thinks you just go ahead and go for it. But, Alex, we on Monday talked about the not just potential trade, where does he go, but the much bigger picture question of where does Shohei Ohtani ultimately end up in baseball? And I did a top 5 of where I think he ends up. Smoltz was saying the Yankees should trade for him. They were actually number 5 for me on where I think he might end up. The Yankees were number 5 simply because I think there is a chance, albeit small, there is a chance they trade for him.
Okay.
And if they do, I do think that helps you a little bit with your chances to potentially
you have a couple months to court
to win him over.
If you do well, you fall in love with the fan base. New York is just a different experience. I think it's closer to his Japanese experience in Japan of like how big he would be everywhere he goes.
Yep.
So yeah, I think that would work in their favor.
Next up for me, number 4 was the Mariners. When he first came over, he didn't want to go to the Mariners because of the Ichiro connection and all of that. He has his own legacy now. Ichiro has his legacy.
Yep.
Shohei now has his. And I think that's a great market. I think he loved it when he went up there.
He spends off seasons there.
He's spent an off season there. He also said he heard the fans chanting and he thinks they're a great fan base.
Yeah.
And it's on the West Coast. So that was number 4 for me. Number 3, I went with the Giants. The Giants are just looking to spend. We saw it this offseason and they missed.
Yeah.
They didn't get Aaron Judge. I think if they ended up with Aaron Judge that they wouldn't be in on the Ohtani sweepstakes, but they have the money.
Yep.
That's a big part of this. They have the money. All of the teams on here do. Yankees, it's the New York Yankees.
Yeah, they'll figure it out.
Hal might not spend like George Steinbrenner, but they still have a lot of money. Mariners as well, willing to spend. Giants for sure, and I think they missed last year, and they're just looking to make a splash somehow, and obviously this would be the ultimate splash.
Yeah.
Number 2 is the Mets. This one's simple. I don't think Shohei wants to be on the East Coast. I don't. Steve Cohen has FU money and has every bit the ability to say, okay, the price, the going rate to get Shohei is $600 million. I'll give you $800.
Oh yeah.
That one's
What do you
simple.
do?
And what do? You sign with the Mets.
Yeah.
And number 1 for me is the Dodgers. I just think it's the cross town. Everyone says that. It's not cross town. It's 2 hours apart.
It's far. It's far. I've done the drive so many times.
Yeah, exactly. It's not crosstown, but it's not a huge move for him. He's familiar enough with the area. He could keep his home wherever it is. Obviously, you'd have to get one up around here, but all of the reasons and signs point to the Dodgers. They didn't do anything last offseason. Nothing. How often do you see the Dodgers, in their current state, a very good team, how often do you see them stand pat in the offseason?
And not even be in the conversation. They weren't even in the conversation for the biggest names on the market last offseason.
Correct. They've reset their payroll. They've gotten under the luxury tax, and it's all to go after Shohei Ohtani.
I agree.
And it's also a team that what's the number one thing Shohei wants to do?
Winning.
Win. The Dodgers are ready to win. All of the Mariners are all of them can win with Shohei.
They have exciting talent.
But the Dodgers are on a different. The Dodgers need pitching, and obviously it would add him to a lineup with already multiple MVPs in a lineup. It just feels like it's going to happen. It's the favorite to happen, and they are my number one top landing spot currently for where I think Shohei will ultimately end up. Not in August.
Yeah.
Where I think next year we see Shohei Ohtani. What do you think of this? Is there a team that I don't have on here that you would have on? I don't think the Angels are on this list. I don't think the Angels are
No,
top
I don't
five.
think the Angels are on this list either. Your top four are definitely the four that I had in mind. Dodgers and Mets were the top two, just to the GM connection with the Mets. And then there's just a weird gut feeling with the Dodgers. He wants to stay on I think he wants to stay on the West Coast. It just.
Yeah. If I were to slide out the Yankees, I would have put the Padres there.
Okay.
But
they're not winning. I would have because of the talent and the roster that they have, but they're not winning. And they can't figure it out with the talent. And he was just on a team who had some of the best talent and they couldn't win. And he doesn't want to be in that same situation. Mike Trout?
I've heard of him.
Thank you. Cool.
One of the greatest of all time.
Cool.
Yes.
Yeah.
Continue.
It's just
continue with the Angels' greatness. Come on. You name Mike Trout?
There's certain teams. Yeah. Okay. There's certain teams that just, even when they have the names, just have not been able to get over the hump. Mets have been one of those teams.
Yeah.
Angels are one of those teams.
Yeah.
We're seeing it kind of with the Padres. I mean, their World Series was knocking out the Dodgers in the playoffs last year, and then it was just like, we did it, and then they just kind of faded out. So I don't know. Padres would have to have a very compelling pitch and some sort of go on a winning streak towards the end of the season, even if they don't make the playoffs. So
they do. They have the money. They have the willingness and the want to spend. They have. You can't look at the lineup and say like it's going to do it this 2 years in a row. I don't know what's going on.
I mean, you hope not.
And then imagine a rotation.
They have pitching.
Snell's got to re-sign. That would have to happen. But imagine a rotation with
Darvish.
Snell, Darvish, and Shohei in the same rotation. That would be cool.
Wild.
But yeah, these are my top four. I feel really good about. I think those are the top four.
Yeah.
And five.
Yankees are in there if they trade for him.
That's why.
Yeah, they're in there if they trade for him, and they kind of have those couple months to wow him.
Yeah.
Stay here. Look how beautiful it is.
Yeah, exactly. But one thing we do know, Alex, he went up to the All-Star game and he started the second half, and he is still as good in the second half as he was in the first half. First series back against the Astros, hits home run number 33, meaning he is still right on pace for 60 homers this season. 60. Just an absolute. The guy is raking at the plate right now. A towering homer, dead center. Again, I think probably most of his homers this year have come center or the opposite field. That's what it feels like. Great offensively. Pitching, again, the fingernail continues to be a problem. 3 straight starts now where he ends up being removed due to that fingernail issue. And it wasn't – and 5 innings, 4 earned, 3 walks, not a dominant start. This is becoming a bit of a concern, I would say.
Well, fingernails are tricky because you got to wait for them to grow out. if with anything, whether you have a bruise underneath or a crack, whatever it is, I know because I do like nails like every 2 weeks.
I don't. I've bit my nails.
It takes a lot. It's really long process to grow all the way out and have a fresh nail.
I wouldn't know. I've bit my nails my whole life.
Oh no, Benito.
Yep.
Are you nervous?
No. You know why? A great what's the word I'm looking for?
I don't know. Give me more.
Your body helps break down things. You have a
metabolism?
No.
Oh.
We'll move on. I'm not making much sense here. We'll move on. It helps. It helps me not get sick, because, your body's introduced to so many different things. This is going off the rails. Shohei will be fine, and so will his fingernail. just give him time. Just give him time. But yes, home run number 33, and ever since the BVG months ago, Alex, months ago.
Yeah, you called that.
He was
the Ben Verlander guarantee.
Thank you for explaining it to most people that definitely needed that explained. Since that time, he has gone absolutely insane at the plate, and it was another good week for Shohei that included the All-Star game, which we were at and saw him and saw a lot of the greatness again this week. So that does it for this week in Shohei Ohtani news. It also, Alex, brings an end to our Tuesday.
It does. That was fun. I love Double Day Tuesdays.
Double Day Tuesday. That's what we're calling this, apparently. Work in progress.
It's okay. I think it's pretty good.
Thank you all for listening to this Tuesday bonus edition of Flippin Bats, which is this week in Shohei Ohtani news, which is my favorite segment. But until tomorrow, my friends, that does it. Thank you all for listening. Make sure you're subscribed anywhere you listen to your podcast, Apple, Spotify, wherever. We're also on all social media, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Threads, and you can watch everything on YouTube as well at Flippin Bats Pod for all of them. Thank you for listening, and until tomorrow, my friends,